What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Historic Hot Laps. I'm your host, Alex Daniels. We're going to kick this one off with some recaps right out of the gate. Let's talk about the world of Outlaws and what a night at Sharon Speedway. The dirt flew, the engines roared, and the unexpected became the unforgettable. Here's how the world of Outlaws Sprint Cars shook down over the weekend at a very old, very storied Sharon in Hartford, Ohio. Dale Blaney stole the show. He snagged the win, storybook victory. What's cool with this win is Blaney became the 15th different World of Outlaws winner in 2025, for one. That shows just how wild and competitive this season really has been. He drove like a veteran who knows every rut, bump, and arc on that 3/8 mile oval. From a solid middle-of-the-pack start, methodically picked off drivers, took control, and never gave it back. This show also wrapped up the anniversary season under a new ownership of Dave Blaney, Ryan Blaney, and Will Thomas III. The heritage of Sharon Speedway is deep, and this weekend they close a chapter of the season in style. On the boards of runner-ups and surprising performances, several up-and-comers made noise. Bottom line, there were fast laps, tight battles, and plenty of overtakes. Experience still counts. Blaney's win underlies that on a tricky track like Sharon, knowing how to read the dirt, adapt to track changes, and conserve your gearing is just as important as outright speed. For teams and drivers, ending a long season with performances like this can change momentum into the offseason. With the Blaney family now officially part owners, this win adds emotional weight. It's more just another victory. It's tying together family history, driver legacy, and community. Sharon Speedway has roots, and this weekend they definitely felt it. For Dale, this win cements his status among contenders for this year. For those who made big moves through the B mains or late races, this might be a turning point, showing they belong in the conversations with the established top runners. What was super cool about this one is that he also became the oldest winner of a World of Outlaws race. He beat the record, I believe, 61 years old. So super cool, and congrats to him. And just love seeing a car with very little sponsorship on it. He said he hadn't been in a car in something like 6 to 8 weeks. And that at that age, to just not have the laps behind him, constantly competing. It's just awesome to see that he goes out there, runs with the full-timers, and gets it done. So congrats to the Blaney family on that one. Let's jump over to some USAC National Sprints. We've got a wild couple things from the USAC National Sprint Cars to unpack. Indiana and Michigan played host to some serious sprint car action this last weekend. Championship picture is sharpening fast. Let's roll through what went down. So Paragon Speedway on Friday, Mitchell Moles grabbed the victory in a photo finish thriller, edging out Kyle Cummins by just .021 seconds. Logan Seavey took third. Justin Grant and Jake Swanson rounded out the top 5 on that one. 28 cars qualified. Carson Garrett set a new track record with qualifying lap of 14.3 seconds. In the main event, Moles had to pass both Hunter Maddox, who was on pole early on, and Logan Seavey mid-race for the lead. Cummins closed in at the end, made a strong move in traffic, but Moles held him off by the razor-thin margin we just talked about. This moved us over to Butler Motor Speedway on Saturday. Kyle Cummins finally broke his winless stretch, taking the Butler feature. This ended a drought of nearly 3 months without a win for Cummins in the USAC National Sprint Car Championship. Point standing snapshot, Kyle Cummins is still out in the front, maintaining a healthy lead. Mitchell Moles is right behind, pushing hard. Moles' breakthrough Friday win at Paragon was Moles' first of the season in the USAC Sprints, and his first in 61 races. That's a long-awaited victory for him and that team, and it injects some serious momentum into the championship hunt. Tracks with history returning, Paragon Speedway hasn't seen USAC National Sprint Car action in quite a while, which added extra prestige to it. Butler also marked a big return to Michigan for the series. So close finishes, tough comebacks, photo finish at Paragon. This kind of reminds you how high the margin is for error in the sprint car racing scene right now. And Cummins' relief at Butler shows the toll a winless stretch can take both mentally and on the standings. So can Moles keep pushing Cummins forward with momentum from Paragon? Moles is not just chasing. He's very dangerous in every race right now. Cummins' ability to bounce back, as he did at Butler, will be key. He needs consistency and maybe another win or two to lock up the championship. Who's stepping up on the rookie battles? And then you still got guys out there like Logan Seavey and Justin Grant who are always a threat. So, yeah, we'll see what happens as this championship's winding down and things are getting real tight. Moving over to the NASCAR series, let's talk Xfinity first, the feeder series there. What a Saturday at Kansas Speedway. The Xfinity series threw down with a Kansas Lottery 300. The round of 12 playoff action was intense, and by the checkered flag, the picture for the round of 8 got a little clearer. So let's break it all down. Brandon Jones grabs the win, his second in the season, his third in Kansas as a career, and seventh of his Xfinity career. He started from the pole, led 54 of 200 laps, and pulled away clean in the last green flag run of 38 laps. Rookie sensation Connor Zilisch took second, followed by Austin Hill in third. Zilisch continues the cold-blooded consistency with a string of top fives. I think he's got like some crazy number. I don't even want to say what it is, but a lot of top fives. Not to mention the whole car is covered in wind stickers. Dominant laps for that one, Justin Allgaier, he led the most laps at 79 and took both stages 1 and 2, which is great for him in the points, but he couldn't seal the deal at the end. His car was strong, but things didn't work out strategy-wise. During the final stage, Jones drove clean, avoided trouble, and managed tires well. 38-lap green run at the end was the key to success. Others gambled on strategy, hoping for cautions that never came. Allgaier had that strong leadership through the stages, but some misfortune came his way. His car broke loose after the restart. He hit the wall, cut tire, never quite regained control after that. Frustrating day for that number 7 team. Butch led 42 laps, and though he didn't win, his second was enough to advance him comfortably into the round of 8. He's the points leader, I believe, still with 100-something behind him. His consistency is making him one to watch, that's for sure. Brandon Jones locks in a spot for the round of 8 with that win. Allgaier still advances on points even after his rough day. Drivers on the bubble will need big performances in the next 2 races to avoid elimination. Things are going to get pretty tight. Will Zilich keep this momentum going? His car may not always look the strongest, but strong runs, few mistakes. That's powerful pressure mounts. I mean, he's driving for JRM, right? Like, couldn't be any better. Allgaier, if he can regroup his strategy, maybe he gets a little luck. He could still be dangerous, but Kansas showed the margin of error is very thin there as well. So that's the Kansas scene there. Brandon Jones gets it done when it counted. Zilich is stacking that consistency, and Allgaier leaves disappointed, but is still in the hunt. The playoff picture is shaping up as the stakes continue to rise. This takes us over to the Cup Series race. Kansas Speedway delivered another thriller for the Cup Series, the Casino 400, Hollywood Casino 400, something like that, round of 12. Stakes are high, so here's what shook out. The race extended into overtime by a few laps, 273 laps total versus the scheduled 267. After the late drama pushed it past regulation, Chase Elliott pulls off a win, taking the checkered in dramatic fashion. Denny Hamlin finished second. Christopher Bell landed third. Pole went to Chase Briscoe, who clocked a lap of 29.9 seconds, 80.078 miles per hour. To be exact, that was his 7th pole of 2025 and his first at Kansas. Interestingly enough, Denny Hamlin led the most laps with 159. The overtime finish came with a late caution that threw everything into chaos. A bunch of drivers were jockeying for track position. Tire life was stretched pretty thin, and setups that were decent before started showing their weaknesses. At one point, Elliott and Hamlin were duking it out late in traffic. Elliott found a line, made some big moves under pressure, got to the front when it counted. Bell, despite not getting the win, ran a strong, composed race. He weathered the chaos, avoided major mistakes, and locked in that podium. For folks who had been running up front earlier, maintaining pace late in overtime was definitely brutal with tires, aero, clean air issues, all those elements mixed into what we saw. We saw that Denny was going to race anyone just as hard. His team, I guess the guy that drives for him, right? Bubba Wallace was fighting for a win there, and Denny was fighting for a win. They were fighting each other so hard that it opened up a gap for Elliott. And we saw a lot of drama from that this week. But with that win, Elliott punches his ticket deeper into playoffs, and that's super momentum for him. Post-race standings did get shaken out. Some drivers who are teetering near the cut line now have more breathing room, but others, especially those who tangled and fell back in overtime, find themselves under pressure heading into the final playoff race for this round. So can Elliott carry this surge forward? Wins at this stage do more than fill trophy shelf. They do bring confidence to the team, momentum, and psychological edges. I believe he's got the number 1 pit crew of the season as well under current standings, so that helped a lot for sure. How will drivers who didn't make it work in overtime rebound? Everything is magnified, right? So a bad restart, tires, slip in traffic, this could all cost the playoff format now. So yeah, it's just setting up for some real fireworks at this. Kansas delivered what we all hoped for, the drama, the tight finishes, the big stakes. Elliott showed up when it mattered most. Hamlin and Bell were right there as well. And just crazy that a Chevrolet took from 6th on the restart or 9th. I don't even remember, 9th, some crazy. He was top 10, but he goes up and passes the top 5, which were all Toyotas after they're battling each other. Just super insane, but pretty awesome week of racing there. So let's jump over to a little bit of news action. Something juicy coming out of the pit lane to kick things off today. Jack Harvey will be returning in 2026 to the Indy 500. Thrown down the gauntlet. Harvey's gearing up for another crack at the Indy 500. First off, this isn't his rookie effort. Harvey's made several attempts in the 500 before, carving out parts of his reputation in IndyCar, endurance events, sports cars, you name it. But making the 500 field, just in the way things have been evolving, is a beast. Time frame suggests he's planning, strategizing, lining up sponsors. I mean, it's a pretty early announcement to say he's going to be driving again, so they're definitely putting some time behind this, which is great. I believe this will be very similar to his prior appearance from this last year, 2025 race. He raced the 109th Indy 500 with DRR and the Invest Racing team. He made it from 26th on the grid to finish 19th. He spent a considerable amount of time in the top 10 before a late penalty dropped him back. Harvey said, "My experience with DRR and Invest last year at the Indy 500 was brilliant. I'm even more confident that we can compete for the win in 2026. So, Team Motor Dennis Reinbold said, "We are pleased to announce that Jack and Invest will partner again with our team in 2026 for the Indy 500. Jack was in position to contend throughout the event. We are anxious to see him back in our number 24 Invest Chevrolet this May." Harvey has multiple Indy 500 starts, as we know. The 2026 race will mark his 9th attempt at the 500. He has one IndyCar podium in his career, which came at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course in 2019. But obviously he has yet to drink the milk there for the Indy 500. Pretty awesome that we will see him in the 2026 Indy 500, which will also be the 110th running of that race. And yeah, hopefully anybody listening to this will be there. I know I will be. Pretty excited to see it. All right, let's move over to a little bit of NASCAR news. Rodney Childers is back. Big shakeups in NASCAR for 2026. Today we're going to talk about one of the most interesting moves off track. Rodney Childers is heading to JR Motorsports as a crew chief. Championship-winning veteran is changing lanes, and there's more than just a new hats. Rodney Childers will be the crew chief of the number 1 Chevrolet for JR Motorsports starting in the 2026 NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, formerly the Xfinity Series. He'll be steering a dual driver setup between Carson Kvapil and Connor Zilisch, who will be sharing driver duties for that number 1 car. It's his first time in the Xfinity level as a crew chief. He has a long resume in the Cup Series and other levels. This is his first official crew chief role in NASCAR, second tier National Stock Car Series, so it'll be pretty interesting to see. He won the 2014 Cup Series championship with Kevin Harvick when he was over there at Stewart-Haas Racing. Over his Cup tenure with Harvick, he and the team had 37 wins, 148 top 5s, 230 top 10s, and 5 championship 4 appearances. So let's talk about what happened this year. We talked about it in previous episodes, but earlier this year, Childers was the crew chief for Spire Motorsports number 7 Chevrolet with Justin Haley in the Cup Series. Parted away with Spire after 9 races, citing that the pairing wasn't working. Over the summer, he reconnected with his roots, working in the Cars Tour with Kevin Harvick and Landon Lewis, picking up a few wins there. Also, he talked a lot in interviews about balancing racing and family time. So why this makes sense for him? Childers has said this feels like a dream scenario. After years in the Cup garage with all the pressure, politics, uncertainty, this gives him a chance to still compete at a high level, but in a situation where he has more control, maybe more stability, a chance to mentor some younger talents. Kvapil is showing some promise, and Zilisch has had a standout run this year. Taking over a car with that mix of youth and momentum gives Childers a solid foundation. JR Motorsports isn't some backmarker team, as we know, with co-owners like Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Kelley Earnhardt Miller and Rick Hendrick. Recent championships, including Xfinity titles, there's infrastructure, resources, and expectations. Childers is stepping into a strong setup right out of the gate. Childers has talked about how the last few months have made him re-examine what he wants, spending Sundays with his family, stepping away from the Cup intensity for now, and still contributing to racing in a meaningful way. This move seems to align with something he's been saying off the record. So, what should we watch? Well, how will the dual drivers setup work in practice? Will Kvapil and Zilisch mesh under the same crew chief? How will they set up their preferences, feedback, race strategy? It's kind of interesting when you have 2 drivers sharing 1 car over the season, right? Zilisch could probably jump in and run anything with the momentum he's currently got, but Kvapil's role become more part-time, and how this will affect his development. Childers' performance jump from Cup to Xfinity, whether he can bring the same consistency in winning ways down, and how he adapts to different budgets, schedules, competition, all that stuff. And how this move will factor into Childers' long-term plan. Does he want to return to Cup later on? Is this going to be his path? Being a mentor to rising stars, building wins at Xfinity, and, maybe eventually doing championships with young drivers. So we'll see how all that shakes out. Got another interesting piece of news, this time jumping over into the IndyCar world once again. Ruzewski's going to Andretti. Ron Ruzewski's making waves. He joins Andretti Global as a new team principal, effective January 2026. So a fresh leadership front as Andretti gears up for what could be a pivotal season for them. So let's break down what this means, why it matters, and what to keep an eye on, right? So here's what we know. Previously, one of the senior executives at Team Penske, Ron Ruzewski, will take over as team principal for both IndyCar and Indy NXT programs at Andretti Global. He will replace Rob Edwards, who moves to his new role as Chief Performance Officer for TWG Motorsports, the ownership group that operates Andretti Global, and also now that Cadillac group. Ruzewski starts officially in January of 2026. His appointment comes in the wake of his departure from Penske earlier this year, part of the fallout from the 2025 Indy 500 qualifying scandal, where cars driven by Newgarden and Power were found to have illegally modified spec parts and failed inspection. That led Ruzewski, Cindric, and Kyle Moyer to being dismissed from Penske. This move reunites Ruzewski with Will Power, who's moving to Andretti Global in 2026 as well, which is pretty significant combo now flying underneath the Honda banner. So Ruzewski brings a seasoned technical and management pedigree, years of Penske experience in engineering, strategy, and team leadership. Serious addition to the stable over there at Andretti. For Andretti Global, it signals ambition. Leadership changes like this aren't cosmetic. They reflect a push to build performance, stability, perhaps even respond to increasing competition in IndyCar and development series, aka the Indy NXT series, right? So why this timing matters: with driver shifts, will Powers move over, others in the lineup, technical staff changes, organizational restructuring under TWG, it's clear Andretti's reshuffling for a big 2026 season. It's not just more of the same stuff. So the exact terms of his contract and, what autonomy he will have are not publicly detailed. How decisions will be made, especially around car development, hiring strategy, that remains to be seen. While the scandal that led to his departure from Penske was publicly known, some questions remain among fans and insiders about how this will affect his reputation in this new role, positively or negatively. Will it be a clean slate, or will it, linger from the past? Another thing with Will Power's contractual rights still being held by Penske through the end of 2025. Any operational constraints or disruptions at Andretti, especially with engineering, team planning, everything's going to come down to January 1st, right? So let's figure out what we need to watch going forward. How Ruzewski works with Rob Edwards during the transition. Edwards has been leading Andretti Global's IndyCar efforts for years. His move to performance oversight is big. How smoothly will the overlap go will make all the difference as it shutters down to the rest of the team, right? What changes is Ruzewski going to make, if any? Is he going to change strategists, engineers, sport team stuff? Technical direction is going to change. Will he bring people from his Penske days? It's possible, right? Anything's possible there. Will Andretti shift philosophies, development pipelines, etc.? They've been kind of stuck as this one-directional thing for a while, and they've got a good chance to change that. So with Will Power reuniting with Ruzewski, will their dynamic from Penske translate well to the new team environment? Some chemistry there could be beneficial. It feels like Andretti Global is reloading for war over there at IndyCar, though. With Ruzewski arriving in Andretti is like a chess move, aligning management, driver lineup, and resources all in one shot. So, from controversy to the new chapter, right? Ruzewski's story is heavy with pressure, expectation, and redemption potential. So yeah, Ron Ruzewski to Andretti Global is one of the most consequential moves we've seen this offseason. January 2026 feels like a real reset button for Andretti. I'll be watching whether these changes make Andretti Global faster, more consistent, smarter with their strategies, whatever it may be, or whether we're going to see some growing pains. Truth be told, that could happen. So excited to watch it. So hopefully everybody pays attention to that come 2026 IndyCar season.
The third lap, when instead of slowing down, we went our fastest lap, I knew I could hang on to it for one more. I was a little nervous, a little anxious getting in the car. I just said, Lord, this is the time when I'm supposed to step up and give me that confidence. And a little smile came on my face, and I just went out and held it down.
Scott Sharp will take the lead. It'll be Greg Way in second position. Robbie Gordon. That's 1, 2, 3. And a spin. Sharp hits the outside wall. Scott Sharp strikes the outside wall in the short two with 1 and 2. And the yellow flag is out.
Right, let's jump into some history. Our favorite time of the episode here. This week, we're going to spin the tale of a team that roared onto the IndyCar/IRL scene in the late 90s, made some noise, then quietly passed the torch. That team is Kelley Racing. So let's take a lap through their history, their wins, their drivers, what was said, and what made them special. Kelley Racing was founded by Fort Wayne, Indiana-based car dealer Tom Kelley. Their base was in Indianapolis. They officially entered the full IRL season in 1998. Their primary car and sponsorship was with Delphi, and their lead driver for much of their existence was Scott Sharp. Just a little personal note here, Scott Sharp was one of my favorite drivers of that era, and still to this day. Here are the key names, what they brought, and what they said about their time with Kelley. So Scott Sharp, driven by speed and grit, he was basically from 98 through 2004 with Kelley, accumulating 7 of the team's 9 wins. From a practice session, 1999's Atlanta race, where he was asked about Kelley Racing, he's quoted as saying, "We started the day with a totally new, untested setup. We made a handful of changes and the car was pretty good. The Delphi car was really easy to drive. It was like being on a Sunday drive out there. I think we're going to have a great car for the race Saturday night." You also had Mark Dismore, an early co-driver with Sharp. contributing to some wins, the team's non-Sharp win in 1999, and competitive qualifying, very solid performance. Unser Jr. came on later from 2002 to 2003, bringing veteran presence, prestige, and some wins. So let's talk about their statistics and their legacy, right? Total wins, you had 9 overall. Scott Sharp had 7, Mark Dismore had 1, and Al Unser Jr. had 1. Had 8 pole positions with the team, several fastest lap awards. They didn't always win, but they were really good about showing pace. Scott Sharp made some IRL records with Kelley Racing for most career starts, long streak of finishes, etc. It's a bunch of random records there for Scott Sharp with Kelley Racing. At the Firestone Indy 225 of Nazareth in 2002, Sharp won after his rival Gilles DeFerrin ran out of fuel on the backstretch on the final lap. Sharp's post-race reaction was classic. "Thanks, you had me beat." That quote sums up Kelley Racing's spirit, always pushing, never counting anything out until the finish. Al Unser Jr.'s win at Texas Motor Speedway was a big one for Kelley. 34th Indy-style victory overall for Unser by Indy-style. Big oval, right? And it was emotional having him in the number 31 again. So what made Kelley Racing distinct for the fans and for the garages? Putting it all together, reliability, consistency. One of their strengths was just showing up competitive, letting strategy, driver skill, and endurance do the work. Sharp's many races finished with long streaks, a lot of leading laps, fastest laps, all that stuff. They had a lot of technical ambition over there at Kelley Racing. They were an early adopter of partnerships with Delphi, which was the electronics group, being the first IRL team for Toyota's engine effort. They didn't shy away from trying new setups. And they had some star power and driver loyalty, right? You had Sharp staying through basically the whole time, bringing in icons like Al Unser Jr., giving opportunity to some others. I mean, yeah, they had a good run going. So Kelley Racing actually folded in 2004 when Scott Sharp left with Delphi as a sponsor, and its assets were bought and reformed into Vision Racing. But their legacy lives on in some of the race wins and the style of racing and how teams today approach consistency, technical partnerships, and driver development. So let's break down their win stats and all that good stuff. So IndyCar wins for them starting out in 98. March, the race at Phoenix. July, you had the Dover Downs race. Scott Sharp winning both of those. 99, you had Atlanta Motor Speedway. That one was Scott Sharp win. You had Texas Motor Speedway. That was a Mark Dismore win. Texas again in 2000 and 2001 with Scott Sharp doing back-to-backs there. 2002 Nazareth, Scott Sharp again, and his final win came at the Twin Ring Motegi track in 2003, running the Toyota. And then Al Unser Jr. won the Texas race again. They dominated at Texas in 2003. So 4 wins at Texas during their 6 years as a team. That's pretty good. And they also ran Dallara chassis, the IR8s, the IR00s, 02s, 03s, all that. And then they ran a couple different power plants. 98, 99, and actually 98 all the way to 2001. They ran Oldsmobile Aurora V8s. Those were super cool engines back in the day. 2002, they ran with Chevrolet for that season. And 2003, they went to the Toyota trying to do some development stuff there. So pretty awesome that they still were consistent on the ovals with 3 different engine platforms, different chassis. I mean, they're all Dallaras, but, different chassis and everything else. So pretty crazy, actually. They also had a pretty good run in the points championship with consistencies. You had a 3rd place finish by Dismore in 99. Scott Sharp, 3rd place in 2001. Couple other top 10s. I mean, most of them were top 10s, really. Yeah, just pretty good overall. Driver lineup, we talked about. Dismore was there 97 to 2001. We had Sarah Fisher there for 2004. Last-minute deal there for one race, I believe. Did Tony Renna, who we've talked about in the past, tragically passing away there at the Indy 2002 to 2003. Scott Sharp from 98 to 04 the whole time. Al Unser Jr. Late 02 to 03. So, yeah, overall, a lot of big names. A lot of people went on to do other things as well. And, just a good team with a lot of good things. Had they not lost the Delphi sponsorship with Scott Sharp leaving, who knows where they would have been, right? Anything could have happened. But, yeah, just another good IRL legacy team in Indy racing history. So that pretty much wraps it up for us today. Kind of condensed this a little down just a little bit. But as always, please share, like, subscribe, share with a fellow motorsports fan, whatever the case may be. And we appreciate the listens. We really do. Join us on all the platforms. We've got Twitter/X, whatever you guys are calling it these days, Instagram, TikTok. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, any of the other platforms. You can find us pretty much anywhere. Just Google search it if you can't, and you'll find us for sure. But we appreciate it. We'll be back next week, as always. And until next time, stay safe, and thanks for tuning in.